All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Movie Talks and Chill. We're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin Butts.
I'm Patrick Wall.
And in this episode, normally we've talked on individual actors, directors, all different types. We've had highlighted episodes. This is the first time I believe we've actually done one where we're highlighting a person who was just recently passed.
Yeah.
So, again, this is strictly to highlight their career. It's not going to be any too soon jokes or anything like that. We'll try to be respectful of that. But for those of you who...
It's a good change.
I know, right?
It's a good change.
But for those of you who don't know, Richard Lewis has recently passed away. I believe it was the 27th of February. So just last week. R.I.P., excuse me. I'm getting all choked up. Was 76 years old. He was born up in June 29th of 1947 and died February 27th of this year, 2024. So 76 years. Not too short, but still young.
Yeah, still
young. Wasn't too far up there where you'd be like, oh, well, you expected that. I believe they said the final reason was it was due to a heart attack. I know he announced, I believe, last year that he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's either the year before that or 2 years before that, before he announced it.
Yeah.
So he was struggling with that, and then, heart attack eventually got him. He did have a long period of time where he had a drug and alcohol problem, and he was in recovery and stuff like that. But he was a comedian, he was an actor, and he did a lot of stuff.
That's what he got started out as a comedian though first, right?
Yeah. I believe it was I think it was New York.
Mm-hmm.
I think because and he also had met Larry David there. So Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm, creator of Seinfeld, stuff like that. And Curb Your Enthusiasm, Richard Lewis had a big part, and he was a recurring regular a lot, and played what they described as an exaggerated version of himself. But if you watch his stand-up, he's got the same neurotic sense that he did before then. So. We'll go through a list of some of his works in a bit, but just kind of wanted to, give him a quick little shout out. He was around for a long time. He's one of those actors that you knew his name and you've seen him in a lot of stuff. I mean, he wasn't really what they would consider a B actor. He was in the A-list for a certain degree, but his main highlighted areas, time frames, was like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
That
was the drug and alcohol problem.
Yeah. Hey, wait a minute.
But he did, when he would do stand-up, I used to see some of his routines, like on HBO, he'd do specials on Showtime and HBO and stuff, and one of his things that he would do sometimes, I don't know as much on there, I know he did it on one of the specials, but he was known in the comedy clubs for bringing notes and paper, like on notepads with him on stage, and he would lay them on the floor, and it would kind of help him if he wanted to remind himself about a particular joke or help him stay on track with what his theme of his routine was going to be. So he'd do that, but his comedy was like very energetic and erotic.
Oh,
so he was that
sensual.
Yeah, he was that guy.
Sensual.
He was that guy that was like that overly nervous, or he like what was the word I'm looking for? Hypochondriac type.
Oh, okay.
Like he always thought there was something wrong with him, or whether it be physically or mentally, and he would just be very open about his
I got the black lung.
I got the black lung.
You were in there for one day. Talking after 20 years.
But yeah, he would just go on and be like, oh, my girlfriend's this and that, I can't please her and this and that. I swear to God, nothing's going right for me. And like he was kind of like a hyper depressing version of Rodney Dangerfield.
And I was just about to go with this, like Rodney Dangerfield. I get no respect.
Actually, that reminded me of John Mulaney a lot. His stand-up.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes. And, I mean, but he would just, he was well known for flailing around like with his arms, and like that's how he would talk with his comedy. He's like, I just don't know what's wrong with me, nothing's going right, and this and that. You would have thought he was Italian, the way he talked with his hands.
You tie his hands together, he can't say a word.
But real quick, funny story, I mentioned Larry David, and in the show, in Curb Your Enthusiasm, they were good friends. They've been good friends for a very long time, and actually Larry David made a nice little speech about him after they found out his passing, and he said he was like angry at him for dying because he's like, he was the sweetest, funniest guy, make you laugh and then say, oh, and he's like, but today he's making me sob, and for that I'm mad at him for dying. So for Larry David, that's unique. I mean, I don't know I don't know what Larry David's ultimate personality is. They say Curb Your Enthusiasm is an exaggerated form of who he is, but a lot of people say he is much nicer than he appears in some of the episodes. But when they first met, they were in like, I think he said they were actually both born in the same hospital.
Oh.
And they never knew that. And then they met up in like a summer camp, I think when they were like 12 or something, when they were kids, and they hated each other. They hated each other. And then
Best friendships ever.
And then he said they would start doing, then years later they met again when they were both working the comedy club circuits. And, they would work the same comedy clubs. But he's like, it was after one night they went out together and just got really drunk together, and then somehow formed a bond, and ever since they were great friends.
Yeah.
So
That origin story sounds wildly familiar.
Wait a minute. We never get drunk ever.
no,
At least not together.
Well, actually, once a year
there was that one time.
when we celebrate the podcast,
Yeah.
we usually get pretty lit.
And then we don't remember it. So as far as we know, it never happened.
Oh no, we remember it because we expense it.
Oh yeah. And all of our friends tell us everything that happened.
Yeah, exactly. You were on the route.
So I know, Patrick. I know you said you were probably going to be a little bit quieter on
Yes.
this one because you're not as familiar with his works. Again, he was a bigger like comedian.
Yeah.
but he was in a lot of TV shows. Like he had a
ton of TV shows.
He had
Yeah.
guest spots in a lot of stuff. He was
Yeah,
in
I
a
was
couple.
looking
of
up his
regulars.
filmography, and outside of the one movie, like I immediately remembered him from, there's an old MTV show called Dr. Katz. I remember watching that as a kid, but apparently he was a writer and he was on one episode. That's the only other thing I can say that I've seen with him in it.
Well, why don't you tell us what you've seen him in?
Okay, because I only have one. Well, it's Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's a fantastic Mel Brooks film. It's a really good musical. It stars Carrie Elwes from The Princess Bride. Richard Lewis, he doesn't even... Like, he's meant to be the bad guy of the film, but he's just an idiot. Like,
Yeah.
he's Prince John. Like,
Well,
the bad guy is his right hand.
The sheriff of Rottingham
Yes.
is supposed to be the main bad guy, but yeah, he's really just kind of sitting back. He doesn't want his power to be taken away, so he can't continue not doing nothing.
Yes. So he's not really the bad guy. The sheriff of Rottingham is the main bad guy. He's just an aloof idiot. He's like, I don't give a shit. Just let me be me, and I don't care what you do.
Let me be me.
So that's the only movie that I've seen with him in it.
Okay.
And it's not the worst movie in the world.
No, it's funny.
Yeah, it's great. Love that movie.
He's talking to in this one she's not the witch, she's the cook.
Oh, yeah.
Latrine. He goes, Latrine. That's an interesting name. How'd you get that? It's like, well, we changed it when we moved in from the country. It used to be shithouse. it's a good change.
It's a good change.
Oh, and when he's got, like, in different scenes, he has a mole on his face, and he
Oh, he
moves it
keeps
from the left
moving.
to the right. And he
There's
goes,
one where it's down
he's
like on his chin.
wasn't that beauty mark or mole on the other side? He goes, I have a mole?
If I remember correctly, watching the movie, it actually it makes the full lap. You see it on its chin a couple
Yeah.
of times
Yeah.
before it makes it over.
Yeah, it goes around the world.
Been all around the world.
I have a mole.
I have a mole?
Still, the funniest part of that movie is the archery contest.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Patriot arrow.
I lost? I can't lose.
I got another shot. Yes, he does. He does.
So yeah, that's a good movie. One of the ones I saw, obviously I was a kid because it came out in 1988, and I remembered this. I remember this movie as soon as I heard it or looked up his filmography. I'm like, that's right, he was in that. It was one of the main characters, and it's called The Wrong Guys, and it's actually available on Tubi. So after I heard of his passing, I rewatched it, and I was like, I forgot how much I like this movie. It's nothing fantastic. It was. I don't think it did well in the box office. I don't know if it made it to the box office. I'm thinking it might have.
Well,
but
the top billed cast member is Louis Anderson.
Yeah, so-
I don't know how well that did.
yeah, no, actually, Louis Anderson, he's done. He used to be pretty big in the
Richard
comedy scene.
Beltsar was in this
Yep.
movie too.
And John Goodman.
Oh damn!
Yeah, so it's about this group of kids that are in Cub Scouts, and they're
And Ernie Hudson.
yeah, Ernie Hudson.
All right, continue.
So they're it starts out when they're kids and they're in the Cub Scouts, and they're all the people that their normal characters are later on in life. Like the kid who's playing Richard Lewis's character as a younger version of him, he comes across like a $1 or $20 bill on the ground or something. He's like staring at it, it freaks him out. He's like, I don't know what I have to do. He's like, do I pick it up? What if it belongs to somebody? And then he's like, but maybe I should tell my mother. But then I got to pick it up. Then I got to go back to the house. And this is too much for me. And they end up getting. He ends up getting picked on, bullied by these kids, and his other friends come in and help him. But the whole premise, if I remember correctly, was that they never ended up getting one of their badges. There was one badge they weren't able to get. And
was it the beaver badge?
No, it wasn't beaver badge. It was something like the something arrow, or the arrow something, the arrow of light or something like that.
The golden arrow.
And so then it fast forwards to they're older, and Louis Anderson still is Louis Anderson. If anybody who knows Louis Anderson, he's got that baby face, and he's
he's
kind
of got this high pitched annoying voice.
But he's that one that still misses all the old friendships and stuff. Like, he's that guy of the group. And so they all come back and meet together, and they decide they're going to go on this camping trip. And as this happens, there's people out there that end up being bad guys that they end up running into, and then they're in the woods, and then it becomes a battle and stuff. And at the end of the day, they end up fighting. It's not Mortal Kombat, but it's a very weak version of Mortal Kombat.
It'd be funny as hell if one of the kids ran out of the Mortal Kombat.
A little bit before that time.
Well, I don't know. It may have
video
been
game came out in 1992.
Yeah, so it may have been
about 4 years.
Yeah,
Maybe that was the inspiration for it.
Probably was.
Some extra in the background just yells, "Finish him!" And some guy's like, "I've got an idea."
Test your might.
So they end up at the end of it. It cuts to the scene where, and they ran into there's two different groups of guys, and then the other group of guys was guys that they knew when they were kids, the bully kids, and then they did something where they were in the Cub Scout group with them, but then they kicked them out of their den. I think they called it a den. The groups.
Yeah, Cub Scouts were always dens.
And so they were always still angry about that.
Boy Scouts were supposed to be troops.
Yes. Yeah, troops are Boy Scouts. But because they got kicked out, then obviously they harbored a grudge. So why not hold on to a grudge? 20 years later, or
why not?
25 years later. And so they end up meeting up with them, and then they have to deal with them. But then they befriend them again, because then they let them back into their den as grown men. But then at the end of the day, you see this the last scene is it's a Cub Scout meeting, all the dens are together. When they would meet at a school or something.
Oh yeah.
And the scout leader and stuff, and they end up getting their Arrow of Light badge or whatever the arrow badge is they're gonna get. So it's just a kids movie. It's really meant for kids, but it's cute nonetheless.
Yeah. Well, I was looking up the people in that movie, and Jonathan Brandeis was one of them too. He was in there. Another R.I.P.
Yep. Oh, I forgot he was also in Sandy Wexler. So Sandy Wexler, that's a newer film. That's Adam Sandler, one of his Netflix ones.
It's one of his serious ones where he's he does the betting, right?
No, that's the different one. Sandy Wexler it's more of a comedy.
Oh, okay.
It's where he plays. I guess it's supposed to be actually based off somebody that all these high end comedians and actors deal with, almost like a manager or something, or a producer or something.
Agent.
Something like that. I can't remember exactly what his function is, but he's just a very unique version of Adam Sandler, let's say it that way. He looks funny.
Well, Adam Sandler's always looked funny.
Yeah, but he looks even funnier in this one,
So he went full Hubie.
Yeah.
Oh, you never go full Hubie.
Only on Halloween.
They never go full Hubie.
Never go full Hubie. Man, you went full Hubie.
And you went home and did.
But he did a testimonial in that movie. I forgot about that. It's a small little role that he did.
Okay.
But I mean, I've seen a lot of these movies. I can't remember most of them, but
that's my thing. Is one on here that caught my eye was Wagons East, and I want to say I saw it as a kid, but I can't remember it because I think it was one of John Candy's last films before he passed.
Let's see here. Let's pull it up. It's starring John Candy, McGinley. Ellen Green,
John C. McGinley.
Robert Picardo's in there.
Oh.
You know who Robert Picardo is?
Yeah, he was on Stargate. He was most notably the Doctor on Voyager.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who he is.
It's ironic that his last name is Picardo, and he was in Star Trek, and then Captain Jean-Luc Picard was the Next Generation.
And I think there was a couple of episodes where, because in the movie First Contact, they had to turn on the emergency medical program, and he had to distract the Borg.
Yep.
So he did share a couple of scenes with Patrick Stewart.
Yep. You took my last name and added an O to it, or took away my O. All right, so let's see here. Let's go to the plot of Wagons East, because I want to see. I know I've seen it.
Ooh, Mauricio Martinez.
So in the 1860s Wild West, a group of misfit settlers, including ex-Dr. Phil Taylor, who is Richard Lewis's character, prostitute Belle, and gay bookseller Julian Rogers, decide they cannot live in their current situation in the West. So they hire a grizzled alcoholic wagon master by the name of James Harlow to take them on a journey back to their hometown in the East. Comedic exploits ensue as the drunken wagon master lets his horse choose the correct fork in the road, leads them to a dried-out watering hole, and eventually guides them into Sioux territory? Sioux territory, where they are captured. The chief, however, is sympathetic to the idea of white men heading back east and offers an escort off Sioux land. Meanwhile, they must also contend with inept hired gunslingers who have been sent by railroad magnates to stop the journey, as they fear the bad publicity it could create for the settlers about to commence a land rush into the West. There's a lot more to this, but that sounds fun.
Nobody is officially credited as Prostitute Bill.
I see that it is available on Tubi, so I'm gonna have to watch that this week.
Yeah,
Give it a rewatch.
So Richard Lewis, so John Candy's James Harlow, John C. McGinley is Julian Rogers, Ellen Green is Belle. That name sounds so familiar. Who is that? What have I seen her in?
I'm pulling her up right now.
For you, the audience, if you know who Ellen Green is, send us a photo. Okay.
Pushing Daisies. And
she was Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. That's right.
She looks completely different in that movie than she did in Wagons East, because that's her in Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Doctor.
There she is. Oh, so cute and cuddly.
I'm looking at her filmography right now, and she was in an episode of The X-Files. Nice.
Oh, he was also in Leaving Las Vegas. Which is a very good movie. Nicolas Cage one.
So the only Vegas movie with Nicolas Cage that I can remember is Snake Eyes, and that movie sucked. Like a lot.
You never seen Leaving Las Vegas? It's
No.
got Elizabeth
Or
Shue in
Raising
there.
Arizona?
No.
Dude, that's probably, outside of Con Air, that's probably his best work.
Yeah.
It's a
Raising Arizona.
bold claim.
You watch the movie. It's.
You ever seen
watched the
National Treasure?
Yes.
This is old school. And this is like one of Nicolas Cage's first movies when he did
When
that,
he got a
though.
lead role.
It's all comedy.
Well,
Yeah.
And it's by one of the Coen brothers. It's before they did the movie. I don't think they did that one together. One may have directed and one may have produced. I'm not sure, but they got him, and it's also got John Goodman in it as well.
Yep. Yeah.
It's got quite a few people in there, but yeah. But Leaving Las Vegas, that's a different one. He's in Leaving Las Vegas. I'm not gonna go too far off from Richard, but just for you, Patrick, so you know, Leaving Las Vegas, he's a writer, if I remember correctly, and he's basically an alcoholic, and he decides
So
he
90%
just gets
of Nick Cage films.
yeah. So he basically decides he's gonna just kill himself by drinking heavily until he dies in Sin City.
Yeah, that's in the synopsis right here.
Drinks until death.
He arrives in Las Vegas to drink himself to death
Yeah. All right.
until he falls in love with a prostitute named Sarah.
It's Sa'araha.
So before we get back to the movie portion of it, so when we talked about TV, I'm just gonna go because I can't remember all these, but so I have my list here. So he went on the Tonight Show. Actually, he's showing he was on there 22 times.
Ew.
He's on 22 episodes
Really?
as a guest. Diary of a Young Comic, House Calls. He was on Late Night with he was on 48 episodes on Late Night with David Letterman
There was
between
him
82 and 93.
Him and oh man, what's her? Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. Anything but Love.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Jamie Lee, man.
1989. It's got a 7 on IMDb. Or rather 6.9. I was rounding up.
I get you.
I'll give it look. It's
close enough.
Look, he's passed. We can give it an extra tenth of a point, okay?
He did a television movie called Temporary Insanity. That sounds about right for him. Another show, Riptide, Harry, CBS Summer Playhouse.
Show lasted 4 seasons. What's wrong with America?
Oh, yeah.
Anything But Love.
I remember I seen this movie, so Vamps.
Yeah.
With what's her name? Alicia Silverstone. Yes.
Yep.
Kristen Ritter. So he played Alicia Silverstone's essentially her love.
Really?
He was like the love of her life. And
Really?
since she was a vampire, they kind of hide in the shadows, and she never like gets old.
Okay.
It was when he was young. So it cuts to him now as he's older.
Oh,
He's-
okay. I was gonna say,
Yeah, no.
Alicia
his-
Silverstone could not have been that old back then. I mean,
No, she wasn't, and that was like how the part played out. He's
Okay.
looking. He ends up running into her, or she runs into him at trying to like. He's still like trying to fight for rights and things, and then so vampires start ending up like getting. It's something to do like with the tax bill or something. Like they're getting a summons,
Okay.
but they're having to go on court during the day, and they're all having to go there at the same time. So apparently, someone has found out about them, and I think it's like the Van Helsing family. That's
Oh, okay.
like they're like lawyers now. So anyone who he suspects as being a vampire, he sent this court summons on this day that's right there for like in the middle of the day where it's the longest part. Like they have no way to like dodge the sun. So he ends up representing them to get everything dismissed, and they don't have to go to court and all this stuff. So, but yeah, he's like they start reconnecting.
Okay.
And I think he ends up like she turns his wife so that she can be a vampire, but they don't feed on humans. Like there is Sigourney Weaver's in there.
Oh wow.
And she's like the lead. You have these hierarchy that are like noble vamps or something like that. I can't remember what they were called. But so like if you get turned, they're kind of like the overlords of or like be like the bishop over like a whole parish or something
Yeah.
like that. And so she just comes into town and starts murdering people.
Nice.
And that's what gets like them on the
I mean,
radar.
that's what I do when I first moved to a new town.
Just start murdering everybody.
It's like just move in. Like I'm just gonna
It's like when you go to prison, you got to beat up the biggest person you can find.
Exactly.
When you move to a new town, you just got to become a serial killer.
Yeah.
So people
And
know to
that's-
stay away from you.
That's right.
just like Dracula or Rainfield when he goes like every time it's the same story. Master comes in, he kills a bunch of people. I have to clean up his mess, and then we move. So it's a decent movie.
Okay.
Of course, Kristen Ritter is so hot.
How hot is she?
Hot.
Want to touch the baby?
Kristen Ritter, isn't that the girl from Stay Away from the Bee in Apartment 23? Oh, Jessica Jones. Okay, I know who she is.
Yep.
It's like, oh, Jessica Jones.
Well, you could see in the late
She's in
90s
Marvel.
when he was trying to get his career back on track, but he was only taking anybody who said yes, because apparently he was in an episode of VIP with Pamela Anderson. Ever heard of that show? I haven't. Apparently, Pam Anderson works at a hot dog stand. There's no innuendo there. And she accidentally saves a movie star from like a deranged fan. So the movie star thinks she works for this very high-end bodyguard service. The bodyguard service says, you're going to be the new spokesperson for our company. Congratulations, you're now a bodyguard. Lasted for 4 seasons. Somehow. Yeah, I can think of a couple of reasons.
Yeah, pair of reasons.
But just in the
They kept getting bigger.
but just in like the photo, look at how fake and cheesy that gun is.
Yeah.
That was 1999 quality right there.
There it is.
Yep.
Yep.
And wait, where'd you go? Yeah.
Where'd you go? Get back here.
Get over here.
And then he was in quote unquote Limp Bizkit stuff. That's all it says. IMDb.
Hey, people put some of the oddest things in like videos or work with stuff. Like there was that one Eminem video, like, and I'm talking about when Eminem first came out. Like, what was it? My Name Is or whatever, that first album he did.
Yeah.
There is one of the songs, I can't remember which one, but in it, it's cut to scenes where it's got Robert Culp in it. Now, for those of you who don't know Robert Culp, he was an older actor. I mean, I don't even know if he's still alive anymore, but he played in one of my favorite TV shows in the 80s, The Greatest American Hero. And, that's with William Catt, where he gets the red suit, the superpowers, but he only works on them when he's wearing the suit. But Bill Maxwell is his partner, the FBI agent guy, and that's who Robert Culp is. And he was in a TV show, I think it's like Spy vs. Spy with Bill Cosby, like back in the 60s or 70s or whatever. But yeah, he was in an Eminem video.
Oh.
But it's like, why would you put him, like, there's no connection to it whatsoever. And Robert Culp he was of a good age at the time that video came out. So, he was already in his, I think, like 40s or whatever when he did Greatest American Hero. So that was I think that ended in like 84. And My Name Is didn't come out till like late 90s.
Yeah, I was in high school, so early 2000s
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. It was like, it had to have been at least around 97, 98 or somewhere around there at minimum. So yeah, that was the fun story about that.
Fun fact also, I always confuse Flash Gordon with the Greatest American Hero.
How?
I don't know. One of them I know is just a regular Joe who gets sucked into space and winds up saving the universe.
Hey, he was a football player.
He was a football player. And the other guy actually gets superpowers from...
Yeah, when you have Queen make a song just for you...
Oh, you've made it.
Yeah,
you could retire right then and there.
If you don't thank him for saving every one of us.
I can't remember what team he played for.
The Jets.
Was it the Jets? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do know they tried to reboot it in like to 2010, somewhere there.
It doesn't work.
It was like a mini-series. They were hoping to get like an actual show out of it. And I liked the mini-series, but nothing happened of it.
Nope.
It's like when they tried to reboot Knight Rider.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that.
No,
Just leave that stuff alone. Leave it alone, America.
Yeah, no.
And everybody else in the world.
What do we got to do? We got to redo Roadhouse. Why?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason for it. Don't
Make a horror version of Barney. That's what I want to see.
Love you, Jake Gyllenhaal, but why?
This episode's already sad enough. We
Yeah,
don't need to add
it's
more
already
sadness
sad
to
enough.
it. You're making me sob.
Well, it just came out, right?
Yeah.
It's coming out, or...
It's coming out, I think.
Okay, this month.
This summer or something.
No,
coming
I thought It was
soon.
I thought it was in March.
Yeah, I think it is.
That's unfortunate.
I'm not really
Well, I want
following
to
it,
see the Barney version of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
though. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, when does Barney enter the public domain? I'm gonna Google
You
that.
check
real
out
now.
that. While you're doing that...
Maybe applying for a film grant.
So I do remember. Oh, he was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt. He's been in a million things. So, but I do want to talk about while you're looking up that, since I know him best besides from his movies. So I haven't seen all his. I've seen a lot of the movies, but not all of them. But I do know him best from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
like that's when I got to see
Probably
more
the
recently.
height, yeah.
And I just want to talk about a little bit about his character in Curb Your Enthusiasm, or some of the episodes he did with Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm. And I remember one of them I think it's called The Bracelet, the episode's name. And Larry's gonna go buy Cheryl a bracelet. Richard Lewis is with him. I think they both wanted it, but he's like, we can't both buy it. I can't remember exactly how it went, but anyway, he gets Cheryl something else, and she really likes that, so he's like, oh, I'm out of the doghouse, so I don't need to give her the bracelet, too. So he ends up selling it to Richard Lewis so he can give it to his girlfriend, and then Cheryl kind of turns back and she's like, oh, no, I think I really do want that bracelet. And Larry's standing there, he's like, I can't get it. And she's like, oh, yeah, just go to the store and pick it up. He's like, no, the store's closed. She's like, well, go tomorrow. And he's like, dude, he's like, we're good now. What do we have to do this? So it all goes back and forth with the bracelet thing. But there are multiple episodes. You found something? Or what?
I did.
Okay, what did you find?
He entered public domain last year.
Oh, he's excited now.
I need to call Doug.
I need to call Doug.
He is a producer after
Scatter
all.
Brothers,
Yes.
we have an idea.
Yes. We've got your next big movie.
I love you.
Yeah, that could be the creepy music in the background when he like enters the area.
No
lyrics.
words. Yeah,
Yep.
no words. Just the tones.
Yep.
That's what he does. He hums.
My God.
I want to see here.
Somebody teach me how to write a movie script.
Doug, when you watch this episode.
So there
Or
is.
listen, this is also
Yeah.
my copyright. This is my idea. No one can steal it.
This second day of March. Or,
Who bought it?
Yeah.
Gavin.
On March 3rd, in
Patrick.
the year of our Lord 2024.
It says here a local company, Movie Talks and Chill,
has purchased. Hey, we should do that. Then we can sell it to the highest bidder.
Exactly. We have an idea to use it. No, you don't.
No.
Somebody teach me how to write a movie script.
I can do that for you.
Okay.
It's pretty easy.
Somebody
So-
teach me how to spell.
Well, that's why they have spell checks. In.
There.
So the script software will do that for you.
We have, it's...
By script software, do you mean Word?
No, it's actual script
That's
writer.
the...
So there's. I want to talk about a couple of these episodes. It's pretty because there's so many that he's done with him. The pants tent. That was actually the first
Curb Your
episode.
Enthusiasm?
Yeah, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
So I think that's like one of the few episodes of Curb Your Enthusiasm I've ever seen.
it was
Isn't
the
there?
first episode.
So there is a scene where he goes to a movie with like a friend of his wife's, and she's like consoling him by rubbing his arm, and then the pants head happens, and she thinks he gets an erection.
Yeah.
Okay, that is like one of the 3 episodes I've seen.
Yep. And it's also something around like Richard Lewis is also there or something. With
Probably, I
his
saw it when
girlfriend.
I was like 13.
But he's always Richard Lewis every time in the movie. He's like always dating like a different person because he's sparsely in the episodes, not in every episode. But when he does, he's always like, we need to meet up. We need to have dinner. I need you to like her, and that's how neurotic his character is in the show. And Larry's like, why do I need to like her? He's like, why do we have to go out to dinner every time? He's like, it's a thing. We go. Then I have to do the chit chat thing, and I have to pretend to be interested. And Richard Lewis, his character, always does like the same thing. He's like, you know what? You always do this, man. He's like, why can't you just be my friend and just come to dinner? And he's like, you always got to make a big deal. And he's like, I'm an ex-alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic. And he's like, oh, like I didn't know you were recovering alcoholic. He's like, he's like, I got enough going on in my life. That's his character. Like that's every time he's with Larry, it's almost like, you know what? Never mind. Just it's a thing with you, and every time,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to be your friend. Can you be my friend?
It's almost like in Wedding Crashers when they go into Vince Vaughn and the girl's like, I have the perfect girl for you. I just want to stop you right there. I don't do this. I'm into her. She's into me. I'm not really into her, but then so now she's not interested. So now I'm starting to get interested.
But it also sounds like an exaggeration of Jerry Seinfeld from Seinfeld.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Or
'Cause
George.
he did
even George is like that.
Yeah.
too.
Oh, George was. I would say he was like that all the way.
You never go full George.
You never go full George.
Well, I do remember there's one episode where Lewis is dating this girl named Cha Cha, and
Cha cha cha.
and so he's dating her, and Larry David got her a job in his offices, so not working for him, but working for another person that works in the same building as him. But so he gets her the job, as a favor to Lewis. Lewis is like, oh, I'm so thankful, thank you so much. And her office or her desk, her secretary desk or whatever she does, assistant's desk, is like right across from the bathroom that Larry goes to. And so she's like, he'll go in, she'll start talking to him every time he's passing by her. And then he'll come out and she's like, oh, wow, that was quick. And he said, you know what? You don't have to monitor my bathroom. It gets in this whole big, and this is the beauty of the show. I don't know, have you seen Curb Your Enthusiasm?
I've seen some
Okay.
episodes, yeah.
So you know how it all kind of circles back like a Seinfeld type
Yeah.
thing, like whatever the point or issue was at the beginning somehow ties into the end. And so he basically tells Richard Lewis, like, will you tell your girlfriend not monitor? He's like, every time, he's like, it's a thing. I shouldn't have got her the job here. He's like, every time I have to pass, I have to do this chit chat thing. I have to talk on my way there. I have to talk on my way back. He's like, she's seen when go in the bathroom. He's like, oh yeah, I meant to ask you about that. He's like, what's going on with you? It's like she says you're in there like 10 times. He's like, who goes to the bathroom 10 times? He's like, I go. People go. He's like, nobody goes to the bathroom that many times. He's like, this is why I don't want her here. He's like, you don't need to. I don't need you talking about my bathroom problems. So then later on in the episode, they're going out to dinner with it's Larry. I don't think Cha-Cha was with him. Or I don't think Richard and Cha-Cha were with him, but they were at this restaurant. Susie's having a steak, who's Jeff Green's wife in the show. Or who's at the comedian is actually Jeff Garland, but in the show is Chef Green. And so she wants her food to go, and the waiter comes over, and he's like, hey, is everything all right? She's like, yeah, can I get a doggy bag, And he's like, oh, something I don't know why the waiter would say this as part of the script. He's like, oh, it's something, to enjoy tomorrow for a nice lunch. She's like, no, I'm just going to bring it to the dog. He's like, oh, we don't serve dogs. And she's like, yeah, but it's my food. Just put in a bag. It doesn't matter where it's going, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And he's like, well, no, we can't do that. And then so it's a big back and forth thing. So Larry's like, you know what? I'll take it. Give it to me. I'll take it home and eat it. He's like, you're going to eat it? It's like, yeah. He's like, you're going to take it home and you're going to eat it. And Larry's like, yeah. And so they stare at him for a minute. He brings the food to him. Well, she ends up giving it to the dog. Well, their dog Oscar ends up getting really sick. So now they think that the guy messed with the food or did something to the food. So now Larry has to call the guy and he's like, yeah, I'm super sick. I'm sick all the time. I've been getting sick all day. I've been running to the bathroom, this and that. And he's like, oh. And he's like, looks over and it pans over and he's like, hey, Cha-Cha. He's like, has Larry been going to the bathroom a lot today? She's like, no.
That is awesome.
But there's one episode where, in that episode, there's another scene where Richard gets pissed off at Larry because they're having that conversation. But then later on, Larry's doing something. I can't remember. But he calls Richard. Cha-Cha answers. And he doesn't know what, and it became a thing. Oh, I know what it was. He went to the doctor, and the doctor, he messed up his ear. Something happened with his ear. So he's like, well, just hold the phone on your left ear. He's like, I can't talk left. He's like, I can't talk left.
What is he, Derek Zoolander?
Yeah, so yeah, he basically can't
turn left.
He's like, I don't know. He's like, I end up having these weird pauses. I don't know what to say when I'm talking with my left ear. He's like, and so Larry's talking to Richard Lewis. And he's like, I want you to apologize to Cha-Cha. That's what it was. He wanted to apologize to her. And he's like, all right. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, going to pick up the phone with his left hand. He's like, no. He's like, it deserves a right ear call. He's like, give her a right ear call. None of this left. So Richard leaves. He ends up calling Cha-Cha, and he's trying to apologize. And then she's like, yeah, no problem, whatever. And he's like, he's talking left. He's like, he said he has. He's like, what are you wearing? He just says he doesn't mean to. And she's like, what? And then he's doing something, and he starts breathing heavy. He's like, oh. I'm just like, I just got from Jimmy. He's like, oh. And I can't remember what it is that he's doing, but he ends up just making these. So she's like, I'm getting really uncomfortable right now. I'm hanging up with you. So then Richard finds out about it. He's like, you sick? He's like, you sick jerk off. He's like, if you weren't my best friend for years, if I wasn't a recovering alcoholic, I would beat the life out of you right now.
So to that point, I kind of understand not using your left ear. I don't know what was. I was doing something with my right hand, but I'm right-handed, so when I talk on the phone, I usually just put it up to my right ear.
This is a family show. You don't have to talk about what you do with your right hand.
So while I was at Publix shopping, I had to grab something with my right hand, so I put my phone in my left hand. But instead of putting it on my left ear, I held it like the bad guy from Speed. So I still held it to my right ear.
So like a weirdo.
Yeah. It was just
hello.
Yeah, I was literally just doing this.
If someone was walking behind you, they'd think you were like kissing somebody. Like,
yeah,
you do that
trying to get someone to sleep or hold.
Yeah. Are you okay?
Go to sleep.
Are you sick? Are you okay, Mister? So that was a couple of the episodes. The other one I want to bring up, he was in most. I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, but I do have, like,
even though you can and want to.
I do want to, but we only have so much time. There is one where it's a few times throughout the series. Richard Lewis needs a kidney transplant. He needs a kidney, and so because of his body just whatever it's shut down. So they're trying to find a donor. Well, it gets in this whole big thing where I think throughout multiple episodes where all the friends are like, will you at least see if you're a match? And he's like, I can't. Nobody wants to give him the kidney. Everybody's trying to come up with excuses. Jeff gets out of it because he's like, we're gonna test, maybe give him. And he gets out of it because his wife Susie says, no, you have a daughter. He's like, what if something happens to your daughter? He's like, you keep your kidneys. And she's like, you're a fat fuck. She's like, you're probably gonna die. You need both your kidneys. And what happens if something happens to your daughter? You needed to give her. It's like you're not giving it to Richard Lewis. So everyone starts backing out, Larry and a couple of the other guys, and then there's the one guy, Marty Funkhauser, who is Super Dave from the Super Dave Show. Okay. If you remember him from the 80s. Mm-hmm. Super funny. He's a major character in the show as well. So,
like how you just accepted that I probably have not.
Yeah, I'm going to just look at Gavin.
Yeah, just talk to Gavin real quick.
So, Gavin, let's get this thing is in stereo. But he's, Marty Funkhauser comes over and he's like, I think it's because Super Dave's voice. Yeah, it's got that like I can't even do it, but it's like a raspy kind of thing. Like he's always trying to breathe. And,
it's that. Yeah, I can't even get it.
Yeah, we can't get it.
But
We're
it's
not
still
gonna
like
try.
high pitched too.
It's like a high pitched rasp. But he's like, hey, I got to tell you, you guys, I commend you. It's amazing what you're doing for Richard. Testing to give him one of your kidneys. He's like, well, why don't you test too? He's like, no, you're good. He's like, no, I'm good. He's like, no. He's like, you guys already tested. He's like, one of you are bound to be a match. And he's like, I'm probably not even a match. And he's like, well, how do you know if you don't test? So it's like all the people outside are like, have admiration for him for doing it, but it's all like fake niceties.
Yeah.
Because then when they put it back on them, they don't want to do it. So that's one of the episodes. It goes on, like I said, for multiple episodes where it needs his kidney. So it goes on to this one episode where Larry, I can't remember if he thinks he's adopted, and he goes out and tries to find his real parents. He thinks this guy found his real parents. He had a private detective because Larry's dad was in surgery. He was out of it, and then his dad whispered that he was adopted, but he ends up not being. It wasn't that. But I guess he just said something under anesthesia.
Just to piss him off.
So throughout the series and episodes as well, while the Richard Lewis thing going on, is he's searching to see if he can find his parents. So this private
This show
investigator-
lasted 12 years.
Yeah, this is last season right now.
No. Super Dave.
Oh, Super Dave, yeah.
It went from 87 to 99.
Oh, yeah, it was popular. But so he goes on to this thing, and private investigator finds out. He's like, hey, I found your parents, and they are completely different people from him. They're Christians or Catholics. He's Jewish.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm Gentile. Like, he finds out that. But he ends up meeting he ends up meeting them. They take him to church. They're very nice and wholesome people, very different from his actual parents, or his mom and dad. And so anyway, he gets like this whole, I know what Jesus wants me to do, and he's like, he's because he had a near-death experience in that season earlier. He's like, I know why God saved me. I know what Jesus wants me. I'm going to give my kidney to Lewis. So he meets up with Lewis, like, I'm going to give you my kidney. And he's like, oh, man, if I can ever I can't thank you enough. I can't thank you enough. Which then adds more hilarity because he's at his house telling him this. And Larry looks over and he's like, oh, is this that putter? He's like, I had a putter like this once, or I played with this. It's amazing. He's like, oh, yeah, it's a great putter. He's like, I love it. He's like, can I borrow it? And he's like, no, I don't think I want to do that. And it's just after he offered to give him his kidney. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, I just offered to give you my kidney. And he's like, no. He's like, it's a thing. I lend stuff out to people, and I never get it back. And I don't want it to get messed up. He's like, I'll take really good care of it. It's just one. And he's like, you know what? I'm just not comfortable with doing that. And he's like, but anything else you want, whatever. And Larry, unlike normal Larry, but because he had these epiphanies and he thinks he found his real parents who are these wholesome Christians, he's like, you know what? I respect your decision. I'm sorry for asking, but see you at the hospital or whatever. They get in the hospital. They're getting pre-op, and he's talking to the nurse guy who's getting them ready. It's like, you all ready? He's like, yeah, He's like, oh, I think it's great you're getting your friend your kidney. He's like, yeah, and he's like, unfortunately he had a putter I wanted to borrow, but he didn't want. He's like, wait a second. He's not going to lend you his putter. You're giving him your kidney. You're giving him the gift of life, and he's not going to let you have his putter. It's like, well, no, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Well, then they're rolling Richard Lewis and Larry down into operating thing, and he's like, man, I got to thank you again. I can't thank you enough. I owe you for life. Anything else you want in life? And the nurse said to your putter, and he's like, you told him about the putter? He's like, well, I didn't mean it. He's like, why would you bring that up to them? He's like, I'm about to go into surgery, and you're bringing up the putter that I don't want to do. It's a very personal thing. And then as they're about to get in the operating room, the private investigator comes running up to Larry. He's like, Mr. David, I made a huge mistake. That wasn't your parents. You're not adopted. He's like, what? And then he goes back to his He's like, I can't do this. I'm not going to. They end up knocking him out. He ends up going into anesthesia and stuff. So it just goes to show you that, if someone's going to give you a kidney, the moral of the story is lend them your putter. Yeah. I'm just saying.
I don't think I have a putter that anyone would really want to use, but
Same. I don't think you guys have better clubs than I do, so there's no. I'm borrowing your putters.
Oh, you thought we were talking about golf?
Oh,
Yeah, man.
I don't understand the innuendo. I'm lost on this one.
Exactly.
Oh no.
Oh, this is a lovely screenshot though of that episode when they're getting wheeled in.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's not the camera that's on.
Wrong camera.
Yeah, wrong camera. It'll pick it up. But yeah, I don't want to go through every.
Tony will do a crash zoom in post.
You're right. So that was it for the Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes. I wanted to leave a little bit of time so we can talk about some other stuff here. So we got about 10-15 minutes left. Again, it is kind of weird doing an episode right when someone died.
Yeah.
But again, that's what, it's kind of nice to pay tribute to him. Hopefully we don't have to do this again anytime real soon.
Yes. Stop
Yeah,
dying, you fuckers.
Not do an episode, just not do an episode about someone dying.
Right.
Or because someone
Or
died.
celebrate them after their death.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was, 2022? Was that the year that took like a shit ton of, the past few years?
Yeah.
I don't know, when were the Harry
That was
Potter
Betty-
films airing? Because apparently they
Well,
mowed
no,
down
they
an
did
entire
it like
town.
over. They've done it over like from the start of
Yeah.
the.
Like 50
of the-
years, they've
yeah.
killed 150 people.
It's 56.
Oh,
Well, one of them was Alan Rickman.
Yeah.
And he's worth 20.
Exactly. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
I do want to bring up one quick thing, just to the audience and the viewers and stuff, is just want to send out a quick apology from us. So last week's episode we had with Doug, there's some minor glitches in some of the coding in the software. There was some, unfortunately, we're all victims of technology. It wasn't until after it was uploaded.
Great until it doesn't work.
It wasn't. It looked fine when it was, we were recording. Somehow when it got transferred into the system or the upload, there was a codec glitch in there and errors that got created, which really blew out the audio horribly. So I had taken it down and, we did some tampering with it. It's still not 100% perfect, but it is much better than what it was when it first got up. So anybody who had listened to that episode beforehand, I probably should have done this at the beginning of the episode. But anybody who listened to it afterwards, please check it out again because we did have Doug on there. It was a fun episode. We talked about the '90s TV shows and movies and stuff, and having Doug on is always a great time. So I just want to make sure everybody knows. We pride ourselves on trying to put out the best content we can at the highest quality. So that was not a representation of what we normally do, and I hope you guys know it after almost 3 years. But we will continue to monitor that. So just wanted to say a quick sorry about that. Sorry about that. For our Canadian friends.
Sorry, dude.
And sorry about that to all our American friends. And I don't know how to say sorry in German. Does anybody know? Because we got a lot. We're popular in Germany, so.
And go fuck yourself, San Diego.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Who put a question mark there?
Ron, I'm gonna have to fire you.
But that was my quick little PSA. But what do you got?
Apparently he was in a movie called Gangster Waitress. Or Gangsta. It's an A, not an E.
Gangsta.
Yeah, you got to get the title right.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Emphasize the right letters.
Gangsta.
Now it's no longer loading. But what I found I was looking at this. Every character is named either Gangsta Waiter or Gangsta Waitress, and it's a musical. Stars Richard Lewis and Zoe Deschanel.
Wow. Okay.
And the music was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, like the Oscar-winning composer.
Yep.
I have to see this.
Oh, that he has to see.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one. Yeah. Of course.
Yes.
Richard Lewis, who the guy you barely knew much about, now you have to see his movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how advertising works.
I think.
Well, we can take 10 minutes next episode because I want to rewatch. I know I've seen it when I was little, but I want to rewatch Wagons East.
Okay.
Where I can actually understand it as an adult now.
And I had thought I'd seen Vamps, but as you were explaining it, I'm saying that I may not remember it as well as I thought I did. So I'm probably going to maybe check that out.
I think that's on Prime.
Okay.
I think it's.
Dear Lord, it's not a movie, it's a music video. It's only 5 minutes long. I know what I'll be doing
my
once we hit
Lord.
stop.
No,
You know what?
He gets out of everything.
You know what? Yeah. Just
It's gonna be
stop.
amazing.
I hope Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is really scary so that you have to suffer through it.
we all know it's not going to be.
No. It's going to be awesome.
It's gonna be amazing.
I'm sure you haven't seen the movie, but did you go get a Dune cup?
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one yet. Mainly because, spoilers if you haven't seen the first one, they kill off Jason Momoa. That was like 90% of the reason why I was watching
First
that
off,
movie.
it's Momoa.
Momoa.
Mimosa is what you drink.
Yeah.
Like brunch. Champagne and orange juice.
We know where Patrick's mind is at. When can I get alcohol?
It is Sunday.
It's true.
In an hour and 17 minutes.
Sunday fun day.
Sunday fun day. That's awesome. That's good times right there.
It
man.
is.
That's solid.
But I
good
will
times.
say that he goes down in a lot better fashion than Duncan did in the original.
Yes, that's true.
Because in the original, he just puts the shield on, runs into like 3 people, and then he's dead.
Yeah.
Like,
He actually went down
He
enough.
takes out a freaking platoon of Sardaukar by
Yeah.
himself.
Yes.
Which are supposed to be like the most elite force in the whole galexy.
The
He
elite.
just wrecks them.
Yeah. And the only reason he gets taken down is because someone stabs him in the back that he thought was dead.
Yeah.
So I do want to bring up real quick that for everybody knows, obviously this comes out on Wednesday in a few days from now, but we're already in March.
Indeed.
We're already in March.
Yeah.
Time is flying by. It's now, today's the 3rd, right?
Yep.
March 3rd.
As of today, at the time of recording, is March 3rd.
One big thing I'm looking forward to, it's not movie related, but I guess it helps you stay up later to watch more movies, is, we got daylight savings time. We're going to get our 8 p.m. sunsets again.
Yeah.
Fuck.
More light, more light, more light. So super excited
God.
about that.
I want to move to that town in Alaska where you get 3 months of like total darkness.
I don't want to do that. You can have that.
Wow.
You sick bastard.
Although I have seen that Josh Hartnett movie where all the vampires
Yeah,
come
30
out.
Days
Yeah.
of Night.
Yeah.
But this month we're excited. We're going to go see Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
Indeed.
Towards the end of the month. We're going to see it on the 24th. Comes out on the 22nd. So for those of you who are diehard Ghostbusters fans like I am, check it out. Looks really awesome. Looks really cool.
We will talk about it on the show, but we
Yes.
will give people 2-3 weeks before we launch that episode, just so
Maybe.
Oh no, I'm talking about it.
So we're gonna put massive spoiler tags on
Yeah.
everything that week.
Well, anybody who's a massive Ghostbuster fan will see it opening weekend.
Yeah, that's
so.
true.
And we won't be doing it till the following week. We'll be recording.
That's right, because we're taking
and
that
then-
weekend off to go see the
Yeah,
movie.
so it'll be a week and a half before by the time we talk about it.
You hear that, folks? You have a week and a half to go see the movie before we ruin it for you.
Yes.
Or just wait to listen to that episode.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah, you
saying.
could always put it to the side.
Jeez.
But so we got, I'm looking forward to going and seeing
We
the
need
movie.
those listens, man. We can't afford them to
I
not
know,
listen.
right? Well, we have another
can
episode
afford one
move.
week.
Yeah. So we got that coming up for us in March. We'll have some friends of ours with us to join us watching it. Doug is probably going to come with us. from
Doug will probably be
Firestone.
back on. Brian will probably be back on.
Yep.
We're going to try and get Ben on one of these days.
I know. I've been asking. I know they've been working on a bunch of projects right now. I can't talk about it.
Oh, yeah, they're in full production
Yeah.
mode at this point.
Once all the strike stuff ended and all that stuff, it was towards the end of the year last
Yeah.
year, and then
Yeah.
you got the
So they
holidays,
had to
so now
catch
they're
up,
like coming
yeah.
up. But I know they're working on a bunch of other projects. But then we got that this month, obviously next month. So in almost exactly 8 weeks, we get the film festival. So and that's going to fly by. So that'll be April, and then in May we'll be launching all the episodes from the Sunscreen Film Festival. So, I mean, we'll probably, if it's even half of what it was last year, we'll have hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours of
We
content.
got, like, 5 episodes out of that last year?
More than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a lot. Might have gotten like 7, right?
Yeah.
Because we had a lot of stuff.
I think because of how we wanted to position it with the 100th episode.
Yeah, we had to
it was
put
like,
up a couple.
It was
each
like
week.
98 part 1, 98 part 2.
Yeah. But dude,
Part D.
hey, you got to know how to manipulate the system, man.
Exactly.
Oh, now I have to go watch Hot Shots. 1
And I
and
mean,
2.
we're already
Part
at episode. I think this will be the 131st episode already. So we're moving by quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got that. We're almost out of time. So just wanted to let you guys know. Obviously, again, we'll have Ben and Brian. I believe Brian has said he wanted to come on, but Doug will be back on with us to give you guys the episodes, because I think it's this week that his ticket sales are out. If I remember correctly, I know Tony Armour had posted something on Facebook from Instagram feed. But go sunscreenfilmfestival.com to their website, or you can check them out on Facebook. You just type in Facebook search for Sunscreen Film Festival. They'll have all the information. It is at the Sundial in downtown St. Petersburg. Besides just the movies and meeting the people, it's a bunch of workshops, a lot of group events, Q&As, and then they have
Which
Oh,
all the after
I
parties
hope
and
it's
stuff.
finished construction by the time the film festival is there, because they're doing construction on the sundial itself is gone, and the water fountain.
Oh, I'm sure
Yeah.
it'll be fine. I mean, if
They just
if
put
there
that
was,
thing up like 10 years ago.
I guarantee you, if there was,
It's gone.
Oh.
they probably with
probably just
with
redoing it.
how well they organized this thing. I'm sure they wouldn't wait till a month before to find out if it was being taken down with all the stuff they're doing.
Oh no,
for
it's
it.
already taken down.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
if there's going to
Like,
be an
hopefully,
issue
yeah,
for
yeah.
it, that I
Yeah.
don't think they would
No,
wait
you can
a
still
month
walk.
before.
You can still walk around in there, but
Yeah.
we just went down there
Yeah.
Friday night, and I was like, "What in the world is all these walls up around the sundial?" Like,
So you may not see the actual sundial,
Yeah.
but it is in the sundial in there at the AMC theaters. But yeah,
Yes.
definitely check it out. Come on down. The tickets are up for sale now. You can get multiple types of tickets. They have different types of VIP passes, single day, multiple day. They have the the big VIP pass, which gets you, access to everything. Just remember, if you are going to attend stuff, just because you have the pass that would let you in, some of the stuff has a certain capacity. So you
And
wanna
it's
make
always
sure you
first
have to
come,
sign
first
up.
serve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's first come, first serve. So make sure
At those
that
type
you
of
check
events.
with it. Yep.
Last year when they had the Marvel producer guy there, and they're like, if you have a VIP pass, you're more than welcome to, but get in there quick.
Yep. Get in.
We wanted to go to that panel, but we got caught up by the time we
Yeah.
stood up and all right, let's go listen to this guy. Oh wait, doors are locked and closed. Okay.
Yep. But as usual, check us out on all our, our social medias, Facebook's, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Check us out there on our videos. Now that we can see our lovely faces.
Yay.
Yeah.
But also don't forget about Spotify. We would love a review and a 5-star rating. It's I don't know the correct way. It really helps us out, but
Yep.
I need a better word for really.
Really?
Do we have a-
really.
Do we have a link to Sunscreen Film Festival on our website?
I do actually.
Okay.
So
there-
on our,
I thought there
If
was...
you check, thank you for bringing it up. If you go to movietalksandchill.com to our actual website, if you go scroll down on the main page, it does have our partnerships and links.
Okay.
So it has the partnership link to WDBF Radio, also Sunscreen Film Festival, and Elevation Artists.
Okay.
So it's the icon down there. Just click on it. It'll hyperlink you right to their page.
nice. Thank you, Tony. Good information. Did not.
Yes,
know that
I'm
was on
glad
there.
you brought that up. Thank you. I've
wild
had them on there for so long.
I was
like-
going to say, I remember us putting it on there last year.
Yeah.
I remember us finding the partnership part of the webpage.
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
if we ever actually added anything to it.
We did. We have partners now.
Yeah.
We're legitimate.
So, and as always, we'll be there.
That's a stretch.
Yeah. But not just Spotify. I will say also one other quick shout out before we say goodbye is that I will wanted to, speaking of Spotify, also Apple Podcasts, any listening platform, we're there. Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, everywhere. But Spotify, special shout out to our female listeners. For you guys, well, to all the listeners, but the female, I would just checked, and Spotify updates our averages and like our listenerships, and we've gotten up to our female listenership is up to 36.2% now.
Nice.
Yep.
Wow,
So
it's weird because I can't get a girl to talk to me. But
yeah, but
I just stopped trying.
phone a friend. We'll start having a call-in section.
we're going to
now.
go live to the...
Yeah.
Oh, we're not live?
We'll leave the last 10 minutes for call-ins.
I did want to give a quick shout out to feedspot.com who their website about podcasts for podcasts, and they do a lot of like rankings, just clickbait stuff, but I like those kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
It works. But under top movie podcast for 2024, you are listening to number 69.
Yes.
Giggity.
That's what I said.
Keep listening because we do want to get to number one.
Yes.
Number one top podcast to listen to. And continuing into 2025 and
Yeah, yeah,
2026. Just get us up to number one.
You
Then
hear
we'll work
that,
on the rest
Chris
of the
Holcomb?
years.
So let's just get the top 25 first,
Yeah.
and then we'll start pushing the one.
You hear that, Chris Holcomb? Your podcast may have been up for Tampa Bay's podcast of the year, but we are on a website.
The only thing that would make that list better is if Casey Kasem was still around
Yeah.
and announced, now we're at the top 5
Now we're
podcasts.
into-
Movie
now
Talks
it-
and Chill.
Now the top 5 podcast. I'm Casey
No,
Kasem.
now we need to do top 70, starting with number 69. I can just hear him say 69.
We're starting from the bottom at number 69.
Movie Talks and Chill.
My God, you beautiful bastard. Why did you have to die? Loved you on Saved by the Bell.
All right, guys, but that is all the time we have. Thank you again so much for listening. RIP again to Richard Lewis. Lost great comedian, actor, talent overall. We'll keep watching your stuff. Just to keep the spirit alive. So thank you guys for joining us for Movie Talk to Chill. We're your hosts. I'm Tony Serrato.
I'm Gavin Butts.
Patrick Wall.
All right, guys, take care.